Hi there. Some of you have asked for a little more guidance when it comes to doing the online lab, so I'm going to show you what that would look like. So I'm going to show you, like, for if I was a student in A&P 1 or 2, this is what I would do for using the resources for the online lab assignments. So I've logged into Canvas. I'm going to go over to the modules, and then I'm going to go to week 1. So if I'm in group A, I am going to go to the lab in person, and I also have this Respondus quiz to do online, and then there's this exercise 3 optional practice, which is just that. So I would have done the microscopy lab in the lab, so at the Claremont or at the Keene Academic Center. And then if I want a little extra practice, I want to review, then I'm going to go in and look at this resource. So the other thing I can do is I can go look in my supplemental lab manual and look at exercise 3, which is right here. And I see that there's also this document that's going to help me practice the microscopy calculations. So those are calculations for different field diameters, for total magnification, so that I make sure that I really understand those before I try to go take an exam on them. And of course, as I'm studying, which I'm going to do consistently, at least every other day for a couple of hours, or every day for like half an hour, I'm going to use these objectives as my guide for studying. So that's what I would do if I had come to lab that week. If my group was doing online lab work, so in week 1 in this particular class, group B is doing online lab work. If I'm part of group B, the things I need to do are right here. So one of them is I'm going to need to go take this Respondus practice quiz, which I would actually have to download Lockdown Browser to do. So I'd click here, I read the instructions, and then I would download the Lockdown Browser and follow all those directions so that I can do that practice quiz. Once I'm done with that, then I'm going to do exercise 1. So I click here, and that's going to take me to the lab resources and tasks to complete page. And that page is, for the most part, what's in the supplemental lab manual with a few added things. So I can read here, this is what I'm going to do. Then I see my study objectives, and to achieve those study objectives, so learn about that material, I'm then going to go down here to the tasks to complete. So the first thing I need to do is grab my lab manual and read exercise or activity 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of exercise 1. Then I know that I can look at chapter 1 of the textbook, because this lab's about anatomical terminology and body cavities and body membranes. Then I'm going to watch these 2 videos, which are going to give me another way to learn about anatomical terminology and everything else that's in this lab. So in activity 2, I'm going to practice using that terminology. In activity 3, I'm going to learn about body planes. And in activity 4, I'm learning about membranes. And then, once I think I'm pretty comfortable with what I've read and what I've watched or listened to, then I'm going to go try and practice. I'm going to practice my skills. So I could go here, and then I'm going to choose chapter 1. So I'm going to click on these chapter quizzes, and then I have a couple of choices of how I want to practice. Maybe I want to start with true, false. which is kind of a 50-50 shot. So it's a good early way to study, but I would definitely work up to the things where you're labeling from memory or you are using multiple choice questions. So maybe I want to try art labeling. So this problem is telling me label the different parts of this diagram, or label the different parts of this diagram, or this one. And then when I'm done, and this is true for most of the sites that you've been given to practice with, I can click here and submit my answers for grading. It's just going to tell me what the right answers are. If you're asked to put in your teacher's email address, don't do that. You don't need to. This is purely for you. So that's one site. The others are pretty similar. I'll just show you one more. So this one, right, a little bit different because it involves a drop-down menu, but there's an Okapi here, and it's saying, what's the purple arrow? So before I would look at the drop-down menu, I'd think to myself, what's that surface that's, say, for the red arrow, right? And in my head, maybe I'm thinking it is the caudal region or the gluteal region. Posterior, caudal and posterior are the same. Caudal refers to the tail. And then I can come down here, look at a few more. So there's different ways to practice, different orientations. If a question doesn't look like it's something that you've been asked to study, then just skip it, right? No biggie. Okay, so now I've read the lab exercise in my lab manual. I have probably referenced my textbook. I've watched these two videos at least once, and I've taken some notes. I've gone through all of these practice sites because I want to be really good at this. This is foundational knowledge in A&P, and I want to make sure that I'm really comfortable with it. So now I'm going to go and take my lab assignment quiz, right? And this tells me that I have to score 80% or better, but I should aim for 100%, right? What tells me that I really know the information? If I get a perfect score. So I'm going to click take the quiz, and then I'm going to go through and answer all the questions. And right now I'm just putting in random answers, just so you know. Once I'm done, there is a submit quiz, and this one's going to happen to tell me I didn't answer 9 of the questions. So then, from my first attempt, I only got an 8.34, so not great. I could do better. I know I can do better. And then I can look through the questions and see where were my incorrect answers. So if you don't answer it, you won't know if your answer is incorrect or correct, but you can see at least for these first couple. Okay, so question number 2, I put Manus, which isn't correct, right? So I know that Manus is not the right answer. And then in question number 3, that asked about which way do the palms face, apparently they don't face directly toward the body, like this, as if my hands were straight up and down. So I know that's not the answer. So I'm going to do maybe a little more revision. Maybe I just didn't read the question carefully enough. You know, I know that I need to watch or to look at every word of the question, then pick out the keyword so I'm answering the right question. And somewhere along the line, this one right here does not say unanswered, nor does it say incorrect. So that means I got the question right. The other way I know that is I got full credit. I got all 8.34 points. So I know that that one, gross anatomy, I'm good on that. I got that concept. So you can keep taking the lab assignment quizzes as many times as you want before the due date. So this one is due January 31st by 11:59 p.m., which is not 12 a.m., right? It's not 12 a.m. on February 1st. 11:59 is 11:59 on 1/31. So I can keep doing this as many times. I could do it 20 times if I wanted to. I could do it 50 times. I don't think you're going to need to. Or maybe I'm like super confident and I did really well and I really understand this concept well. So maybe I just take it once and I get an awesome score. So that is one way to do online lab work, one version. The other version is if you're using your lab kit. So I'll show you an example of that. So there's some weeks when you'll actually use the materials in your lab kit. So this is one example, which is way down in exercise 15. You'll also see in exercise 4 that part of that requires you to use materials in your lab kit. So we're going to look at exercise 22. So just like I did before with exercise 1, I'm going to click on this page. It's going to tell me when the assignment is due, what I'm doing, what my objectives are, what my goals, my study points are. It's going to give me some reading and some videos to watch. But this one also says, right here, perform exercise 22 in your lab manual using materials in your lab kit. Right, so you're going to get your lab kit, you're going to open the lab kit, and there will be a document in there that describes what the materials are that you need for exercise 22. I'm going to grab it and show you. Here's my fancy dancy lab kit, and in my lab kit there's all sorts of fun stuff. So one thing I'm going to see is the lab kit directions. So since I'm doing exercise 22, I'm going to go to page 5, page 4, which has at the bottom of it, and I'm sure it will be hard for you to see in the video, has the lab directions, or it tells me rather, that I need the 2-point discrimination tool to do one activity. It tells me there's a couple of medium fine point felt tip markers for activity 3. So it tells me what I'm going to use different pieces of equipment for. Then I'm going to go in my lab manual to exercise 22, and I'm going to read the directions so that I can perform each of the different activities. So for activity 3, my lab manual tells me what to do, and this document from my lab kit tells me what equipment specific to use. The other thing, because I'm a careful reader and I read all the directions before I start something, is that when you're doing these at-home activities with your lab kit, that you are going to end up taking some pictures, right? Demonstrate that you've done the lab work just like you would if you were here. I'm in our Keen lab. If you were here in the lab with me or with your instructor doing the work, right? So you can take a selfie of you and doing the lab work, or you can take pictures of your subject. You don't have to put in faces, you know, whatever you're happy to do. Be creative. And then once I've done all of that, then just like with the other online lab I showed you for exercise 1, once I'm done, I'm ready to take the lab quiz. I'm going to go here, click on it, and for labs where you need to upload pictures or video is okay too, just make sure it's 5 minutes or less, or what works best is like what I'm doing. I'm using Screencast-O-Matic, and then I upload my videos to YouTube so that I can send you a link. So then you'll see this last question is, show us that you performed the lab. So you have a couple of options of uploading pictures into a document, or you can send a web link, or you can upload a media file. Just be careful of the media files that they're not too big. So I hope that helps to clarify for you. Have fun.